Yeah, you. I say, Yaraba. We shall welcome District Minister. As he comes, may we all rise and applause. Please clap your hands as he comes. Thank you very much. Please, may you have your seat. YPG. Youth. We thank God for such a wonderful moment. Praise be you for say niatete for here ye wani gina ye na anya ye den abamu. So ye da nyame asepa se nan so onam na dom ne na humobro so ama ye nso so yenya very important personality ewo yen. Most people have seen Papa around, but it's not all of us that knows him very much. So that is the reason why today we are here to inquire from him, from where he started, and then where he has come so far, where the Lord has brought him. Indeed, Papa, we are very privileged to have you tonight. I know that by the end of this session, people will be blessed. And me, personally, I know that I'm going to be blessed through the teachings and then your experience that you have gone through throughout your life within this ministry that you are in it. Enti ene ye ba besua bibi kakra memfa ne se afa papa abrabo ho ne ministry se ne o sha ase ene ba bia ene o de abeye den abedru. So Papa, we welcome you for today's youth service.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so as I said earlier on, ye mu bebre yate se ye frɛ obi Reverend Atta Dwomoh Appiah our district minister. Some of us knows you somehow, but others too doesn't know you well. So today we are inquiring from you that we want to know more about you. So as we begin, you can tell us about yourself, your family, and then your stay in Sunyani here. So we can begin from there.
Thank you very much. As you all know, I am Reverend Atta Dwomoh Appiah. We are a family of 6, 2 boys, and then 4 girls. If I say my name is Atta Dwomoh Appiah, that stands to reason that I am a twin. I have a twin sister who is also married to a man of God. I am the second born of my parents. The eldest is a male. He is the managing director of Samates Timber Company Limited in Samra Boy. So that is what I can say.
Okay. So knowing that, I think you have parents that brought you up. So what are the influence that their life influence your life? Say mechanichi mua o papa no ma memono sunsanso ben ana memfa ne se wonya wo wabrabo so because awofo bebre enya sunsanso e wo mama brabo so negatively and positively. So if we may know the influence that you had from your parents.
Oh, okay. The influence that I had from my parents were, as a matter of fact, a positive one. Yeah, ye fear no, ye mpie. Enti obi a woni me bia ni me say, hardly will you see me outside. Obi hu me abonten a na bia adwuma a meye ni mprempren no, ena ema me epie abonten. Metimi ahyɛ dem 7 months. Na me hu ewia koraa da. Na abusua yefiri mu no. Both parents are Presbyterians. Me maame edi Merku president akɔne mu pii. Me papa edi Merku president koraa to presbytery level. Omo nyinaa so ayɛ asafo mpanimfoɔ pɛn. Na efia yefiri mu no. My parents were very strict. Very, very strict. Se wo pia kwa abonten kora ye wo time a eda ho a wo se wo befi. It's that time no eso na wo mafi a wo asem kese pa. And I quite remember when we were growing up, there was this philosophy in that family of ours. If you do not go to Sunday school, then it means you are not going to eat. Enti se wo po obekwa sorry. Sani ebeya ubenya aduane adi. Na mo se wan kwode a ebeya den pa se ubenya aduane adi. And so these were some of the influences that I had from my parents, if you asked.
So, Papa, if I may ask,
oh, they are still alive. They are in Kumasi.
Okay, that is good. Then that means that we have to congratulate them for giving us such a wonderful person like you, because we have really enjoyed your stay in Sunyani. You have impacted on our lives, and you are still impacting on our lives. And so, Papa, if we will continue, then we will ask about your educational life. Most people think that if you want to become a pastor, it is not necessarily important for you to go to school. So if you are a minister, we want to ask you, what are your qualifications? Where did you school from primary up to where you are right now?
Oh, okay. I started my education in Kumasi. To be precise, Bantama Presby. That is where I had my kindergarten. My mother was a teacher, and so apparently wherever she is posted or transferred to, automatically that place becomes where we are also supposed to go and study. So that is where I had my kindergarten education. The old woman was transferred from Bantama to Asokwa Presby.
Papa, you say your mother is a teacher.
My mother is a teacher.
Oh, that is the reason why Papa Tibro you see, I thought the year Papa will come cry one who come brofona ya makino makuma because one way I beti ntino here I am a munya teacher for one day. Ya na kakra. So Papa continue.
Yeah, so she was transferred to Asokwa Presby, and we had to follow her to that place. At Asokwa Presby, that is where we continue with our elementary education. With a secondary, it was 2 schools, because in those days you do your Form 5 and 6 form like that. So if maybe where you were happening to be schooling, if they don't have 6 form, then automatically you may have to join another school. So after secondary school, I was a science student. Actually, I wanted to become a medical doctor.
Wow.
But somewhere along the line, I diverted from the science field, and I found myself in the maritime industry. That is those who work at the seaport, like Temaport, Takoradi Port, and that kind of stuff. So I did shipping management at School of Aviation. And having done that, I went to the United Kingdom, Bournemouth to be precise, and then did another program that is export management and practice. So after that course, I had a chance to lecture at some of the aviation schools. I worked at the Temaport. I worked with Eagle Shipping Company, and I've also worked at Aviance Formerly, it was African Grounds Operation, AFGO, but now it is Alliance. So that is what I can tell you concerning my educational background.
Okay. So quick one. But those online, you can also join us by sending your questions online. We will pick them, and then Papa will answer those questions also for you. So if you have any question that you want Papa to answer, you can just send it online, and then it will be answered. So, Papa, you said you went to the School of Aviation, and then So how did you came up with the idea of the ministry?
Wow. This is a multi-million-dollar question. Let me be frank and honest with you. I didn't want to become a Presbyterian minister. It was not something that I really fancied. Those days that I was working at the port, I was getting good money.
Yeah, that is the reason why I was asking. Because working at the port, Kudi is there. So
I was getting good money. Sometimes you may be working and then you wouldn't even have a local currency on you. Those days that Germany, they were having Dutch mark as their currency. Pounds was there and that kind of stuff. So I didn't like the idea of becoming a Presbyterian minister. But I was of the view that if at all, I could just roam about and then preach the gospel whilst I do the work that I think I feel comfortable doing. But in my dreams and in my prayers, I had seen myself ministering at big crusades and that stuff. So a minister came to our station, Bethel Congregation, at Tonsu Kumasi. He is of blessed memory. The late Udro Awisi. May Papa soul rest in perfect peace. When he came, one day he called me and told me that the call of God is upon my life. So I should put my house in order and then enter into the ordained ministry. In fact, I didn't like that idea. So I told a colleague friend of mine that, Charlie, you go to God, pray to God, and whatever you hear, come and tell me. He went to God in prayer. He came and he said, it is a positive thing that he heard. I was still not convinced. I was not convinced because I was of the view that becoming a Presbyterian minister, how much are they giving? And I had seen so many Presbyterian ministers whose lives were nothing to write home about. And so I was at a feast. I didn't know what to do. So what the minister told me was that, okay, I am picking a form for you. So he picked a form for me. I went to the local session. They interviewed me. They pushed me to the district. And the standing committee also interviewed me. And Papa Udro received filled the form. The only thing I did was to append my signature. So he submitted. And then from there, I went for presbytery interview. If you're able to go over that hurdle, that is the presbytery interview, and it means you can sit down and then sit for the entrance exams. So at the presbytery level, I was cleared. And so I had to start studying to go and write the entrance exams. But whilst doing all this, I was supposed to go to Canada to do my master's. And I submitted every document that I had to submit. I was just awaiting to hear from the university. But it was not coming. I was not hearing anything. I was not receiving any email whatsoever. So I sat for the exams. And one thing that happened, a minister saw me. He is now retired, Reverend Dr. Anson. And then he saw those of us who were studying, preparing to go and write the entrance exams. And he did ask us certain questions. And I remember myself and a colleague of mine, the answer we gave, he told us that if the two of us are not able to get admission, he'll be very much surprised. So we sat for the exams. It was a 7-hour exams. It's not like nowadays they do the exams in 2 days. But during our time, it was just 1 day. You sit down for 7 hours, then you write the exams. By the grace of God, I wrote the exams. I was still waiting to hear from the university, from Canada. I was not getting any email from them. So the minister called me and said, Atta, congratulations, you have passed. So get yourself ready to go for the final interview. And so the final interview took place at Trinity Theological Seminary, Legon. So on the D-Day, I went a day before the interview. So I went and slept over. When I got to the campus, the seminary campus, they were selling some cassettes. Those days, CDs were not available. And I don't know, before I realized, I had bought some of the cassettes. And the cassettes relate to some of the courses being run in the seminary. So later on, I asked myself, why did I even buy this? So the following day, we went for the interview. I remember very Reverend Professor Emmanuel Mate was among the panel. And when he got to know that I have maritime background, my questions were purely on the field of maritime, and then how I got to my calling. So I left the panel, came and picked a bus back to Kumasi. I was there when I got a call from Reverend Odre of blessed memory that, congratulations, you have passed. So if you ask me about how I entered into the ordained ministry, this is what I can tell you.
Okay, Papa, with the ministry, I think we have the SMT and then the Trinity Theological Seminary. So why did you choose Trinity as to SMT?
Well, during my time, there was still SMT. But at that time, what they were doing was that if one happens to be very young, then that person automatically will have to go to the Trinity Theological Seminary. But if the person is old, like in his 40s, 45, 47, then that person will go to the special ministerial training at Appiah. And so looking at my age, I think I entered into the seminary at a tender age.
Wow.
I was even below 30 years before entering into the seminary. Yeah, so that's what
great.
accounted for.
So who led you into ministry? That's Papa Udru. Oh?
Well, Papa Udru, we saw that the calling of God was upon my life. And so I can say that he is or he was the orchestrator of the whole thing.
Okay. So as youth, as YPG members, maybe some of us here have heard the voice of God, or somebody has whispered into our ears that the calling of God is upon you. But what do I do to fulfill that calling?
Yeah, you see, as you are going up and down, definitely the leadership of the church, they are looking at all of us. And then they might see that if this gentleman or if this lady enters into the ordained ministry, it will help. Now, I had seen it myself in my dreams. But like I said, I didn't want the idea of getting into full-time ministry because I saw that they were not paying that much. And looking at where I was coming from, I was of the view that why not an itinerant preacher? So, like, I will be there if a congregation feels like they want to tap into some of the grace of God upon my life, then I will just come and minister. But to enter into the full-time ministry, that is what I was a little bit skeptical about because of how the ministers were taken care of. So, as youth, definitely somebody might spot you from afar and then might have heard something from the Lord concerning you. The person can just walk straight to you, tell you what the Lord has told him about yourself. And you also need to take it to God in prayer. And if you think you are convinced, why not? We need more people in the kingdom business.
Concerning what you were saying at first, that concerning their salaries, is it salary or a stipend?
We are not giving salary. We are giving what we call stipend.
Stipend.
A stipend is what the church can afford.
Okay. So I once told somebody, a lady, that I want to become a Presbyterian minister. And she said, no, I cannot marry a Presbyterian minister. I said, why? That's the money that they are giving them is not enough. Because about who will be sabi nyando, so for you hana who need to ministry, no, you wouldn't love it. So the lady told me that, Baba, no, if only you want to enter into ministry, as you were saying, you can just be around, go to churches and then preach. But as for Presbyterian minister, I will not marry a Presbyterian minister. So that's what the lady told me. So I don't know whether the lady was in spirit or it's because of what she has saw. That's the reason why she was saying that.
Maybe she knew much about how much ministers are giving.
Wow.
Maybe somebody might have told her. But in as much as what we are giving is not that much.
Okay.
If you come to the corporate world and you want to relate it to that one, God is also having a way of taking care of his own.
Okay. Okay, so Baba, who mentored you in your ministry?
Well, talking about mentorship, I have passed through the hands of many ministers. I cannot take away Reverend Udru Ewisi of blessed memory.
Okay.
I passed through the hands of Reverend Benson Osafo Kantanka, the Asante Presbytery chairperson, because when he was a minister there, that was the time I entered into the seminary. Okay. And when you go to the seminary, we have what we call practical attachment. You are posted to different presbyteries from where you candidated from. And you are placed under a seasoned minister so that he will take you through the rudiments of ministerial work. I remember my first practical attachment, I went to Kwawutafo in the Kwawu Presbytery, that is Kwawutafo district. And I worked under Reverend J.K. Mensah. In my second practical attachment, I was posted to Voter Presbytery, Enum district to be precise. I worked under Reverend Alex Owusuado. At that time, he was the presbytery clerk and at the same time, the district minister for Enum. During that time, Enum district was far to even Ho. And I remember I also worked under Reverend J.M. Abesi. He was the minister in charge for Ho congregation. And having said this, another great prophet of God, who is also of blessed memory, the Reverend Westford Kwesi Asamoah-Pra, I also passed through his hands before his demise. And now there is someone that I look up to, and he is Reverend, he is Prophet Augustine Yeboah.
Okay, so knowing that as youth, do we have to be mentored by people? And if so, what should we do?
Everybody who is walking on the surface of this planet Earth needs a mentor. You can't run away from that. You see, there is one thing that those in the corporate business are doing very well. But those of us in the kingdom business, we are not doing much well when it comes to mentorship. Because you will need somebody to hold your hand and show you the right path to walk on. And so as youth, we need mentors. But one thing we need to do is that for a person to become your mentor, you must learn to humble yourself. Or if you live your life like, I know everything. As for me, there is nothing that I do not know. Then it will be very difficult for you to be mentored. Because your mentor would always try to direct your path. So he will tell you what you need to do. It is up to you to accept it or reject it. So we need mentorship in our lives.
Okay, so in your life, how will your friends and then your acquaintance describe you?
A principled person. Very, very principled. And maybe it might be as a result of how I was brought up. But my dad is and was a very principled man. When he says this, then he will tell you, I mean this.
Okay. So that is good. So I think we have to copy that. Because Papa is a kind that if you say you are meeting him 5 o'clock, you go and meet him there. Because today he came here, I think around 6:24. I was here. When he came here, when his car arrived here, I was here. 6:24, he arrived here. So that means that indeed he's a principal person and then he works with time. And I think he has also worked with whites before. So he doesn't joke with his time. So, Papa, what are some of the challenges you had in your ministry and now you are encountering?
Wow, challenges. They are uncountable. But let me talk about only 3. The first challenge I had in my ministry was somewhere 2007. I was posted to Christ Congregation, Bole, Dwomoh District, Northern Presbytery of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana. When I was posted there, people were of the view that maybe when I went to the seminary, I did something wrong or something bad. But many people were calling to ask, why is it that you have been posted to Bole and not Asante Achim and the other presbyteries? But I told them I have not done anything wrong. And so I went there. That was my first time of going to the north. So normally when you are posted, you go and have a look at the station. So I managed to get the number of the minister I was taking over from. We agreed on a date. So I went. But I told him I was not going to sleep over. I will return that same day, which he obliged. Enti, we could do ho of Fred and Penny for by Edim Komo and a Appiah Mami. And so I had to communicate with them to know the exact date that they will be expecting me. But to my surprise, when I called them, they told me that they don't have accommodation for me. And I was like, wow. And in a Presbyterian setting, if a minister is posted or transferred to a congregation, the first Sunday of October, we call it Worldwide Communion Sunday, you're supposed to be at your station and administer the Holy Sacrament to the members. If on the first Sunday of October, which is Worldwide Communion Day, you've not reported to or at your station, then it means you want to bow out from the ministry. Now, the reason they gave was that I was too young. Too young in the sense that ministers who had been posted there, who had served in that congregation, they were in their late 50s, early 60s. So why should a young person be given to us as a minister? So I quite remember my senior presbyter was a female, and her daughter fellowships here, a member of Bible study and prayer group and women's fellowship. So she used to call me on the day of my introduction. She told the chairperson, Appiah, there was a pastor that was of a small boy. Appiah. So that was my name, was of a small boy. So they didn't want me to come on the basis that I was too young. And I remember the Reverend Herbert Enim Opon, he was by then the clerk of the General Assembly, wanted to repost me. And he told me that he was bringing me to Dwomoh Presbytery. And I said, I don't have any problem as far as where I'm being posted to is concerned. So whilst we were on the phone, those in Bole also called. And then I sought permission from Papa to pick that call. And then they told me that, Papa, we are ready, you can come. That is the first challenge I had. Now the second challenge that I have had in ministry is that I have never been posted to a place that there is no debt. Wherever I have been posted to, the 5 or 6 congregations that I have worked in, by the grace of God, we are able to clear that debt.
And what is your secret?
You see, in this world, everybody is having a secret, and your secret is your power.
You not tell me.
Your secret is your power.
So you not tell me.
The only one that I can tell you about is 1, prayer, 2, listening to godly counsel from those who have gone ahead of me.
Maybe I'll come to you in chambers and then you tell me the
I don't think in chambers I will still tell you. What I want to tell you is what I've just told you.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
That one there, if you...
And then the third one.
Okay.
That one I wish I can have a way out, but I don't know. That one has got to do with my style of ministry. Okay. You see, when God calls people into ministry, He equipped them. Now, everybody is having the way and manner in which he or she was called into ministry. Now, people seem not to understand me when it comes to spiritual matters. I remember at Bole, when they asked me to come, the day that I got there, they were not having a mission house, so they had rented a flat for me. When we even got there, they were still doing painting work because to them, they were not ready to receive me. So the day that I arrived, they were still even doing painting works, plumbing works, and other stuff. And so I remember I prayed to God. There was a program, and I told them I will minister at the program. And they said, okay, you minister and let us see. So I prayed to God. In fact, I waited upon the Lord. And if I talk about I waited, I mean I waited. And God glorified Himself. I remember I could just stand there and say that, and you see people slaying under the anointing. So the following day, my senior used to check up on me. She didn't come. So I decided to step out and then check up on her. Maybe she might not be feeling well. So I asked her to accompany me to pay a visit to one of the presbyters. And I asked, Mama, one pana, and then the immune way. I say, Papa, say, the AC program, national will be, I know what you should have been, person about Matiash. And I told her, say, oh, Sapana, the any age you made, you made, you know. It's a minimum Musa, when they should feel free. It will catch them. That is why some of the members are not paying you visit at the months, because there is that perception that if they come, they may slay under the anointing. Well, that one I can't tell.
Yeah.
And so, the third one that I'm talking about, there is something that is very dear to my heart. You minister at a place and people might think maybe you have juju and that kind of stuff. We must understand that there is the raw power of God that is working. And we should also appreciate the fact, say, so basically, these are the three things that I would want to touch on.
Okay, just a quick one. The time is fast spent. So, Papa, how were you able to combine the ministry and the family? How were you able to combine the two?
It is not easy. It is not easy. But what I normally do is that the little time that I have, honestly, coming to Sunyani here, I have reduced the number of invitations I receive to minister at other places. If I don't reduce them, I wouldn't have time for this district. I wouldn't have time for this congregation. Because as we speak right now, I have about 7 programs ahead of me before the end of October. But I have pleaded with them that they should allow me to also have time for the district and the congregation I'm working within. But talking about having time for the family, what I normally do is that the little time I get at home, I make my boys feel comfortable that I am at home. I make them feel comfortable that I am at home.
Okay, so what are you most proud of being accomplished in the ministry?
Wow. I really want to talk about this because there is one thing that we all need to understand. And that is, if you are able to do something, it is just by the grace of God which is upon your life. But having said that, wherever I have been posted to, I've always been able to leave indelible mark there. Wherever I have been posted to, I do my possible best that I leave an indelible mark there. And so even Bole, they still want me to come and do a revival with them.
Wow.
And we are seeing how things will go.
Okay, so what will you do differently if you have chance?
What would I do differently if I'm given the chance?
If you are given the chance again.
Do I even know? You see, there is one thing about me, and that is, I am difficult to approach. That is how God has made me. And one year careful, Obeka say, on Benipa. But those who have drawn closer to me, any say, Papa. Sometimes myself and you, we can talk on phone, and I will tell you, no, it is time for me to go and pray. Yeah. We can talk on phone till maybe 11:45, getting 12 minutes. I will tell you, something. let me leave you. You will go to work tomorrow. Let me also go and pray. I wish there is a way out, but it is not my making. It is not my making. I don't know if I've answered the question you just asked.
Okay.
Have I answered your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I can't remember the last time we were at the office, somebody entered and the person was saying that, Papa, is this how you are? Many people are talking about you, and I was somehow said me to me a bit when you count me better now when you say you weren't like what they were saying.
Yeah, that is people's perception about me, and I always tell whoever I meet that in life people would want to define you the way they see you. Many people have come to me in the office. We have a nice time together, and then they will leave the place and will say, we didn't know this how you are. That is life. Not until you've encountered the person one-on-one, you wouldn't know what a person is made up of. So you don't base your argument and your judgment on hearsay. Go and test it yourself.
Okay.
If what they are saying is correct, then you take it. If it is not correct, you rewrite the whole thing or the whole perception you have about the person.
Okay. Nti Papa say, wow, we be what problem be you can come. Or we line. Person make come be I say who be a suru no, yes, I know what here. And yes, I know what here. So, Papa, can you share with us something you want to improve in your ministry?
Something I want to improve in my ministry. Wow. You see, ministry is all about service. Ministry is all about service. When you are called into ministry, you are called to serve. And for you to be able to serve people, there must be a cordial relationship. And sometimes you must let the people you are leading know the extent they can go. I don't know if you are getting me. They must be able to know their boundary. And they shouldn't outstep their boundary. And if there is something that I would want to improve, one, it will be to improve my relationship with the people I'm pastoring or I'm leading. And then the second thing is to keep on impacting lives. That is what I've been called to do.
So, the last question maybe I'll ask, and then we will take questions from our audience. What should we foresee in future about you?
The future is known only by God, because He knows our end from our beginning. But what I have in mind is to be able to fulfill my ministry. For we Presbyterian ministers will retire at age 70. And so, anytime there is a general assembly, ministers will go on retirement. You will see some of them very strong. Others will be suffering from one ailment to the other. And so there was one prayer that I've been praying to God, that He should help me to fulfill my ministry. And then, at the time of fulfilling the ministry and going on retirement, I must have good health. Much good health.
Okay.
But much also depends on me. You see, you are what you eat. But sometimes you pay somebody a visit. Oh, we offered him drink. He didn't take it. Now, if I come to your house, I do tell people, if I come to your house, you cannot prepare fufu for me.
Yeah.
You cannot prepare rice for me. The only thing you may want to give me is maybe a canned malt, Coke, Sprite, or what have you. Now, let's assume I have gone to about 10 persons. Wherever you go, you are giving canned malt, you drink. You go to the next person, come out, you drink. You are killing yourself.
Yeah.
This one you must apply wisdom. And so, in as much as I am praying to God that as I fulfill my ministry, when it is time for me to retire, I must be in good health. The onus also lies on me to play my part. Else, God will fulfill his part, but I might not be able to fulfill mine. So I cannot blame God if something bad happens to me.
Well, there is this thing that I've seen mostly on Presbyterian ministers. Because, I don't know, most of them will go on retirement and then they will go and then rent a room and stay in it. So I don't know what is it about. Are you having anything, maybe any different thing that we are going to do? That in future, your walls will not say that our father didn't build for us and those things.
Yeah, it is true. It is true that sometimes some of our colleagues, our senior colleagues, may go on retirement and maybe have to go and rent an apartment and what have you. That stands to reason that working in the Presbyterian Church of Ghana is not about making money. But that notwithstanding, you must also be able to plan and plan well. Because it will be very sad that after working in the vineyard of God as a Presbyterian minister, whatever number of years you might have spent, and then you are living, and you decide to go and live in the family house. So we should be able to put things in order. I do tell people that it is not every money that you spend. There are some monies you need to invest them. You are a youth today. Maybe today you are not married, so you don't have much responsibility. You are working, you are getting money. It might not be that much, but you must still try your possible best to invest. You must still try your possible best to invest. It is not an easy thing, but with time, it will become part and parcel of you. And so sometimes that person might not have been able to put things in place, in the right place. And the other aspect about it is that, you see, for every Presbyterian minister, when you are commissioned and you are ordained, you swear that wherever you will be posted to, you will go. Some of our senior colleagues, they have worked in the hinterlands. I know of a minister throughout his ministry. It was only when he came for further studies that he was given a congregation at Aboblushi. And that is, if I may put it, the only enlightened place that he has ever worked. And it has always been in the remotest part of the country. And the question is, what are the people even having in order to bless? And so sometimes these are some of the contributing factors which warrant such things to happen. Like I said, our work is sacrificial. It is sacrificial. You do not work as a Presbyterian minister having at the back of your mind that I want to take home this. No. If I should tell you how much I am giving as my stipend, you might say, Papa, you are lying. But I won't say it. Somebody is waiting eagerly for me to say. For that one, I will not say it.
Maybe if that person hears that, you do something.
You don't have to know what a condition in which a person finds himself in before you do something to help the person. No. obi hyia obi na ɔpɛ sɛ ɔhu ne nipa ban ansa na so ɔde wɔbuo ma na ɔde wɔbuo ama no. I went to a place to minister at a revival. Because temper manches of utade. The gentleman came, hey, massa, blah, 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 so I didn't utter a word. I followed him. We took that table out from where he didn't want it to be. And he started a program, no, and MC, no, or soft, no, he introduced the young fans and Munshia, Nyame, Nipa, Oniya Bekasa. And after ministering, your point, the guy wasn't himself. And you don't wait to know what a person is going through before you think of helping that person. And I say, on chain say, Ubengu say, hey, sound na was soft no. Hey, sound na wife the president and sana would need the amano. Ubia obeshi and ibiano. I was over more than so the need the amano.
Okay.
You may not know who that person is.
Okay. There are many other questions that we had wanted to ask, but sake of time. Mefa questions me no every audience no na yede yen we na ba wi yen nti obi a wo asembisa bia no you can just raise up your hand. Okay. Ma mefa 1 2 3 4. Okay, so anybody that wants to ask a question?
Okay. Okay, Papa, please, I'm Augustine Adusei, and I want to ask, as a prophet of God, can you be in spirit and at the same time in physical?
Oh, yeah. You see, even when you are ministering, you see, I'm very conscious with time. When you are invited to minister at a place, they can tell you that, okay, the program is supposed to start from 7 and end at 8. When you are in the spirit, you must learn to be able to control yourself. But you cannot solve every problem. Yes, you could no. So solve a problem in every anchor in your The definite is a yes, Maya, and another minister will also come, and then God will speak to him, and then he or she will minister to the person. So you should be in the spirit, and you must also learn to be in the physical. And yes, idea. People cannot even come to you. Nipano, come with your person who would young come. I said, you will see one whom you and share. It took on Kakra, Wabamukakra. Now I balance the equation.
Thank you so much, Papa. God bless you. Please, Papa, when you were talking about family life, you were actually referring to some few things, of which I would like to ask some few follow-up questions on that. You were saying that, okay, let me not say what you were saying. Let me give my question. I know the youth is so much determined to make good decisions with regards to getting or taking a good choice in terms of marriage. And so the youth and singleness, when we look around, we have come across many agencies and dedicated bodies who are really, really ideally dedicated to family life and relationship. They speak about marriage, they speak about singleness and all that. But what we have realized is that as long as they continue to talk about all these issues, we see the excellency in marriage and family life continuing to deteriorate. So as youth, what are some of the things or principles we should harbor or take notice of so that we can have good marriage in the near future? Thank you.
All right. Let me start by saying this. There is no perfect marriage in this world. There is no perfect marriage. Now, I have this saying that I always tell the youth anytime I have the chance to talk to the youth. You don't marry for where you are, but you marry for where you are going to. Should I increase the volume? Don't marry for where you are, but where you are going to. A lot of men didn't know what they married till they got married. And sometimes you always want to apportion blame. There is an issue that came to me this morning, getting to the afternoon time. And it is about marital issue. And when you want to get married, the man is not perfect, the woman is not perfect, but you work at it. And sometimes you will have to soften your stance. But for peace to reign, accept the blame. There is this American singer. I've forgotten where he comes from. He comes from Africa, Akon. He sang this song, "Put the blame on me." So sometimes you must learn to accept the blame if you want something to work for you. It is true. Bebrina na ekase. Titene krampa ne papa no ne nananom ware no. Na waregya ye ni ho no. Ene obi ware ya mfie mienu miensa enan na eku. Me hu ne say if the foundation is not strong, then the marriage wouldn't last. A typical example can be say, "Hey, Bia, Messiso, the person me worry about, I'm worrying you. We work at TCAB. We didn't even come up with me one. Na yentimi ansha ye ho so. And a nyinsen vai. Nyinsen vai te se chinchin me one. It deep down my heart. Ni pa na ma one pa na so. Senke ma me kwan pa say me making me choice, any decision as far as the matter is concerned. I might not have opted for her. Enti as I said, yeshane nso say we nyina so ekoso esan so obonsam ni say otimi attack marriages are obetimi rule in the affairs of men, because say you attacking the partner marriage now we jaya bar broken home will be there. Akwadaa no ne papa enya adaje mma no, ne maame enya adaje mma no, papa ne te baabi, maame ne te baabi, akwadaa ne maame se me kɔ papa ho nso no wandu papa ho no, ɛno na ɛkɔ so a ɛma saa nneɛma no ɛtu atese ɛwɔ yɛ pɛn so. All we need to do is to ask for grace from God. But like I said, there is no perfect marriage. We bet me as always omunya correct. Intime freedom. Wo na wo kono so wonya correct. Wo ko ba bia wo correct, obesa ko say no. That is how life is all about. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, Papa, please, I want to know. I wasn't here from the beginning, so I don't know if this question has already been asked. But I want to know, before you got engaged to your wife, was she a ministry-minded lady?
I knew my wife. As a matter of fact, she was the only lady who was visiting me at home. And so even my colleagues at the secondary school, when they attended my wedding, they were not surprised. And she had also worked with the children's ministry. She had been a YPG president, which I was also a YPG president. She had been a NUPG president at University of Education, Winneba. and that kind of stuff. So she was also brought up from that angle. And so she doesn't have problem when it comes to ministry. That is why she can follow me to the north, wherever I'm posted to. She doesn't have a say. When I ask about where I was suffering, what were you suffering there? Okutu mukra, I was so cool. Even I'm the quarter tale, I was so free soon. No, come on. Neyako Zabzugu Tatale, Neyako Koye Juma. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Please, Papa, can someone love ministry, but he or she doesn't want to be in ministry?
Yeah, it is there. I know many minister spouses. When I was at the seminary, there was this minister, I wouldn't mention his name because we are on air. There was this minister who was my professor. When the wife got married to him, he wasn't a minister of the gospel. He was a teacher. And so the wife still sees him as a teacher. And so in December, we have what we call commendation service at the seminary. Whilst we have met at the chapel, she will also be playing her music with friends and that stuff. She doesn't call her husband Papa. She still sees him as a teacher that she got married to. So she is still living in the old, in spite of the fact that the husband had moved on and now a minister. So somebody can love ministry work, but will still not want to go into it. If you were here at first, I didn't like the idea of becoming a Presbyterian minister because Presbyterians don't pay much. I know I will get a problem, but I've said it. Presbyterians don't pay much. Yeah, we don't pay much. We are not giving salary. Just as those of you in the corporate business, you further your education and then you have what we call a quantum leap. If I tell you from first degree to second degree, when they jumped me, if I tell you the amount of money within that jump, that 3 quantum jump now, you will laugh at me, so I will not say it.
Okay. Papa, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. It's quite unfortunate I arrived here late. I would like to ask you a simple 3 questions. I would like to know, Papa, what gives you joy in ministry?
You said?
What gives you joy in
Okay.
ministry?
Okay.
Secondly, what is your greatest fear? And thirdly, what's your philosophy in life? Thank you very much.
Come again with the second question and then the third question.
What gives you joy in ministry?
That one I got it perfectly well.
Okay, the second is, what is your greatest fear?
My greatest fear?
Yes, please. And the third is your philosophy you live by in life.
Okay. Wow. I just love doing ministry. Trust me, I just love doing ministry. And if you ask my wife, she will tell you that this man, he loves what he is doing. I wouldn't mind spending all my time to do the work of God. And so when I stand in front of the people of God, and God is able to use me as an instrument of blessing, that gives me joy. Honestly, I want to see people liberated. I want to see people having smile on their faces. You see, sometimes we fake the smiles we put on our faces when we come to the house of the Lord. Many of us, when we come here, you see that we are smiling. But when we are left alone, that is where we shed uncontrollable tears. And so, that is the joy. My fear in ministry, I've been praying this prayer that God should help me to live long. In a Presbyterian setting, you are only celebrated when you are alive. let's say I'm not praying for that thing to happen. I have kicked the bucket. And then the question I ask myself is, what will become of my wife and my children? And so if you have not planned for their future, and maybe you take the lead, then it means they are really going to suffer. Let's assume that we are in July. I know we are in September. And a minister has passed on. Whether the wife likes it or not, by 1st September, another minister will take over. And so if she is living in the months, then she will be given a deadline to start packing her belongings, because God buries his people and continues with his work. And then my philosophy is to make it a point that whoever I am leading, I lead the person through where he or she is supposed to go. And in view of that, I am very principled. I have said it already. I am very principled because the old man who brought me up is and was very, very principled. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Please, Papa, I think this will be my last question.
Okay.
As a prophet of God, if I want to be a prophet of God, how many years, how many days, minutes will it take before my eyes will open as a prophet of God?
Wow.
And what should I do?
You see, in the Presbyterian setting, they have a problem of calling people prophets. Normally, we are called prophets by the members we minister to. But when they see the grace of God upon your life, they want to call you prophet. But to be a prophet is a calling. It is not about the last time you were praying, you saw something about a lady, you saw something about a guy. That doesn't make you a prophet. That one, you're operating with gift of prophecy. But a prophet is an office. Then will be a chief executive officer. No, what's in the office? No. If someone is a prophet, then it means that person is operating from an office. And that brings to mind the fivefold ministry. You have apostles, prophets, pastors, teachers, and evangelists. And so it is up to an individual to know the particular calling of God which is upon his life. Are you a prophet? And if you say you are a prophet, what makes you say so? Why are you saying you are a prophet? Is there something to prove to others that indeed I am a prophet? Now, talking about the number of days that it will take for a person's spiritual eye to be opened, it depends. It depends. Somebody's might take a day, but just as we were created in the image of God, but we were created differently. If somebody's took maybe 3 days, it doesn't necessarily mean, okay, then in 3 days, mine too will have to open. It will take the zeal with which you want that thing to happen, and then the commitment you put into it. Because God doesn't deal with lazy people. God doesn't deal with lazy people. All the people that the Lord called into ministry, they were working. And once the person is working, then it means that person is not a lazy person. And so, if you attach laziness to it, what you want to see, you may see it, but it will take a longer period of time. That is my submission.
Papa, God bless you. I have one question for you. Being a Christian, and you keep on praying to God, there are some challenges that you go through, especially maybe you want to follow the steps of yours. But in so doing, as you keep on praying, challenges will be coming, especially in your dreams, physical aspects. Are you supposed to continue with the prayers, or you should desist? Because I will use myself as an example. The moment I start praying seriously, there the challenges will come. But when I desist, I'm okay. I don't face any challenge. So in so doing, how should I handle such case?
Okay, you still need to continue praying. Because that is a signal to you that there is something good ahead of you. Now, I always tell people that if you don't have a great destiny, the devil wouldn't come your way. When who will be a onishi na yetete. So I've come across people me work na mo tete me sa. Wo na hu ne wo. So woni bibia obia so how. Na mum se obi how ananiema enkoyie ne kire se wo da ache so. Na se me da ache so a I must be able to cross certain hurdles before I get there. And once you stop praying, the altar will be jai because akwado go na bamabu apaba. But the moment you start praying, these challenges will come. But you need shock absorbers to be able to overcome all these.
Okay, so I want to read some small messages that we have here. There was no question, but then Esther Kunama says, very nice program. God bless you, Papa. And then Esther Asari, God bless you, Papa. Stay blessed. Then we have Udru Ofe. He says, God bless you, Papa, for sharing your experience. Then, okay, Udru Ofe, the same person. God bless you, Papa, for sharing your experience. Nice program. John Udru. So I think drawing the curtains down, Papa, I want you to, somebody was talking about prophets as being a prophet. The Bible said, I will raise you a prophet. I will raise you a prophet. Not I'll bring you a prophet. So, Papa, are prophets being raised or they are being given to a church? Because what I see nowadays is that if you are coming up in a Presbyterian setting, the people there will try as much as possible to break you down, that you will not come at all. Because small boy, they will not even give you, Papa, they will not even give you the chance to become the prophet you want to become. But so, Papa, we normally see them going outside. They'll go for prayers. So, Papa, what do we do about that?
Oh, okay. There is two sides of the coin. You see, there is one thing we all need to understand. For opposition, they will come. And you cannot run away from them. Now, sometimes we look at only a part of the picture, but we don't look at the picture in its entirety. Now, God might have deposited some grace on you as a youth, but you need to take your time. You see, even Jesus the Christ, who was God, he took his time before he started ministry. Now, if you allow yourself to be announced prematurely, you will die or exit prematurely. Now, let me use mine as an example. When we were climbing the Appiah mountain prayer, the Appiah mountain, during the time of the late prophet when he exited the scene, the late prophet Westford Pesia Samuapra also took over the mantle of leadership. And I remember during that time, I was very young. I don't think I was even in the seminary. And one day he told me, this all night you are the one going to minister. Because I saw from Penina, a kusuru honomono, any medical doctors. Because she wish umpires already home. Fortunately for me, Nippon also a casano, not on my. Before I ever call all night, no abba. Into my casa. The next one, SIS, I think it happened for 7 times. Now, Appiah, you will be anchor. Why do you tell me that you are going to minister? I've prepared, and then when the time is due, you tell me that somebody who was on the program is in, so I'm sorry you can't. I don't know if he was also testing my post. That I can't tell. And the day that I got the chance, God really moved. And from that time, I have ministered till today. So yes, you may encounter oppositions, but that is not enough excuse for you to say, then if these people are opposing me, then I'm leaving. No. No matter the giftings of God upon your life, you need someone to mentor you. You might even be more gifted than your spiritual father, but you still need to humble yourself. There were great men of God, or spiritual sons, are gifted than they are. But the spiritual sons still humble themselves. Because what your father has gone through, you are yet to get there. The gift alone is not enough. Because your gift will showcase you, but your character will bring you down. And you don't fancy only the giftings. Perhaps you are blessed with these giftings. You also pray to God that you might have a good character so that it will help you.
Okay, so we have Ofosu Bamfu Mabel.
Oh, wow. She is watching us
from Italy.
From Italy, yeah.
She's watching us from Italy. That may God bless you elephantly. Papa. We have Nana Joa Nimo. I wish I was at your feet listening to you, my prophet.
That is Colin Sofori's
wife. So I think, and then there's Kweku Dak. That was Reverend Atta, my science classmate.
Kweku
Dak. D-A-K, Dak.
Oh, okay.
That you were his science classmate.
I told
1995.
I told you I did.
Oh,
I told you I did
that's
science.
great. That's great. Papa, may God bless you wherever you are. Eti Papa, the Nyamia said, and then so one make it time for YPG members. I think we've learned a lot. And you might be bringing yes, yeah. And some bisani dear Papa, be bring wo I was in Kibisana so. Hemrena, Mereniko Bebri, Inti, we will draw the curtains down. But the last thing, I want you to just use a minute to advise us as youth. Just a minute.
Okay. Thanks so much for having me tonight. My only advice is that as youth, we encounter series of challenges. Some of them are as a result of peer pressure and what have you. But I would want to encourage you that you remain steadfast in your Christian faith. It is not easy. Some of the things that when you are a youth, you encounter or you go through. But if we have the Lord as our focus, He will see us through whatever we intend to achieve. God bless you.
Let's give it to Papa. As okay, and Papa, you better was a pass and then so what to me any year. We know, sir, in some time to come, we will also invite you again. And then encourage you. There were many programs are yashisa a person kamuba number boy. As Sir John was saying, Sir John, or the awadi semno ha no. One day we'll have to come and sit down, talk about it. We'll dive deep into it. Na nyame emphasize na onshira. Ti papa nyame nshira na onyo kese pa. Meaning say 5 years from now, never be our anointing aduru no. Na quite cheaper. We are praying say yamso nyame beboa na yetumi awura anointing no asibi. We are most grateful for having you today. So thank you a lot, Papa.
Welcome.
So wherever you are on social media, we thank you for joining us on this session. And then it will not be the last one. We will bring a same or another program of this nature to you. So keep in touch. Anytime, any day that we want to do something of that nature, we will just come to your feet and then bring something and an information to you that we are coming to do a program of this nature. So thank you and God bless you. Stay blessed and goodbye.
Out of the mundane to where I'm ordained for things that were made. We're made from things unseen. There are realms of glory for my word to see. Dimensions found only in Jesus Christ the Son.